Hello and welcome back to my series. In today's video, we will be discussing DOS and DDoS attacks, which are designed to overwhelm networks, websites, or online services, rendering them inaccessible. In this video, I'll be explaining how these attacks begin, their history, and how they are used by attackers today. Then we will dive into a real explanation and demonstration of a DOS attack in an isolated environment using Kali Linux. So let's get right into it. A denial of service attack, or DOS, is a type of cyber attack aimed at disrupting the normal functioning of a network, service, or website by overwhelming it with excessive traffic or resource demands. A distributed denial of service, DDoS, attack is more advanced form where the attack is launched from multiple sources, making it harder to defend against and mitigate. DOS attacks have been around since the early days of the internet, with one of the first known occurring in 1999 when a website was flooded with traffic to make it unavailable. Over time, cybercriminals developed DDoS attacks by using botnets to launch large-scale coordinated attacks. The frequency and scale of DDoS attacks have grown over the years, targeting companies, governments, and individuals. DOS and DDoS attacks are often used by malicious actors to shut down websites, disrupt online services, or extort businesses for ransom. These attacks can target anything from small websites to large enterprises, making them inaccessible to users. While typically uses for malicious purposes, understanding DOS and DDoS attacks is critical for cybersecurity professionals, as defending against them requires sophisticated countermeasures like trafficking filtering, load balancing, and anti DDoS solutions. Now, let's begin an actual demonstration of a DOS attack against an isolated operating system. So I'm going to exit this and go straight over to the operating system in which we want to attack. It's the same versions of Windows 2008. And just for memory's sake, we're going to come over here and do an ipconfig, see the IP address. And you can launch DDoS attacks against public IP addresses, but they would have to be that. They would have to be a DDoS attack. Now, what I will actually be demonstrating is a DOS attack. I'm only launching the attack through my computer, and I'm only using one operating system to do such. So all the flow or flooding is going to come from my physical IP address to this IP address. Now, in simple terms, a DDoS attack would be if I had thousands of computers attacking this one IP address. So let's just copy this and get right into the demonstration. Boom. Okay. Now, just for again, memory's sake, we're always going to come over here and ping that IP address to make sure it's up. Okay. So I've never actually fully explained this part of a ping. Now, this basically means this time 0.457 milliseconds means that's the time it takes for us to get a response back from actually pinging the IP address. So you can see from this ping or data we sent to the operating system, it took it 4.5 seconds to get a response back, and so on. So during a denial of service attack, this number right here is going to be skyrocketed. It's going to take much longer to actually get a response from a computer that's undergoing such attack. Now, I would like to actually showcase what a ping looks like on Wireshark so we can compare it. So boom, that's just other network traffic. Don't mind that. We're going to run our little ping command. Again, this is all it looks like. You can see we're running at about 30 packets and rising at a steady pace, linear, nothing exponential at all. And like I said, that's the time that actually takes for us to get a response back. It's steady around nothing higher than 4 milliseconds. I'm at zero point 0.4 milliseconds. So extremely steady. Everything on this operating system's going fine. But now we're going to go ahead and launch a DOS attack against it. And again, I want to emphasize that we only got about 80 packets sent and received from that time frame. That was about 30 seconds of running the ping command. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to stop that, clear. And just to demonstrate also how long it actually takes to get a response back from the IP address, I'm just going to have this ping command going on so we can see how this computer is actually being affected. So pay attention to this while we actually launch the attack. Now, I actually made the specific code to launch a DDoS attack using this pre-installed, how do I want to say it, code or application that can't comes with Kali Linux. It's called T50. So if you download Kali Linux, all you have to do is put in T50. I could show you. You'll get all the information about the actual application you're using. So that's nice. But yeah, so let me break this down. So this is the IP address we're targeting. Well, let me start from the beginning. Sudo means you need sudo or admin privileges to use this. And this is the IP address that we're targeting, the operating system Windows over here. We're using a flood, so we're going to be flooding the IP address. The protocol in which we are actually sending the packets is going to be TCP, which there are many protocols that I know we can actually send it, but for this code, we're going to be using TCP. And the port that we're going to be flooding is port 80. We're going to be using SYN, and we're going to be using a turbo function, which is going to make it a actual flood faster. And we're going to be sending overall more packets to overload the computer. So we're going to come over here. Just going to copy this code. Control C. Boom. Okay. Now we can close this up. And I'm going to copy this in. Oopsies. I can just do that because I ran it not too long ago. Boom. There's our code. Okay. Now make sure to pay attention to these numbers over here. Let's see what happens when we run it. Boom. You can see an instant skyrocket. So we never got anything when we were running the ping command over zero point 0.4 milliseconds. And right when I click that button, we're already getting 3 milliseconds, numbers 15 times larger than what it usually is. So, wow, look at that one right there, 5.8. That's like 20, 30 times larger than how it usually is. So it is definitely getting flooded right now. Overall, the computer is going to be running much slower. And let's see what's actually going on with the network traffic. Again, we only sent 80 packets of data when we were using the ping command. Let's see what's going on right now. It's going to be lagging because of how many packets we've sent. We're I I just started and we're over 260,000 packets we sent. 260,000 in just that 5 seconds I've been running this command. You can just see that my Wireshark is lagging really bad and it's probably about to crash from it trying to capture all the data we're sending to this one IP address. Now, again, I would like to emphasize that this is not a DDoS attack. This is a DOS attack, but because of how powerful this tool on Kali Linux actually it is, it's going to be hey, spoofing the actual source IP address that's attacking this destination IP address. So we're still sending it from the IP of this physical computer, but it's spoofed, so it looks like it's coming from multiple different computers or IPs, so it can't get tracked back to yours. But I know it's still easy because these aren't actual physically different other IP address or computers to actually track it back to mine. But still, that's why it's showing up like that. And yeah, this is need to close this up before my Wireshark closes. That's not even working, so we're just gonna ignore that. But we can see over here again, we're still in the fives, ones, exponentially larger than the times we were getting before starting the attack. So let's stop this. And I would like to make a little connection now. So remember in the last video when we took control of the computer through using the Eternal Blue exploit. Now you can only imagine how prevalent that exploit was. And I mentioned earlier in this video, DDoS attacks are mostly used by botnets. Now you create a botnet by making an exploit like the Eternal Blue one and spreading it throughout multiple computers so you have control of all those computers. Then you would go over to command prompt and run this kind of exploit that is flooding one singular IP address. Can you imagine 20 or 30 more computers, or even thousands, in the case of most of these botnets attacking this one IP address? And just for my single computer, we're already making the time about 20 to 30 times slower. Your internet's going to be completely done, slash overall how your computer is working. So you can just see right there how scary DDoS attacks really are when you're talking about thousands and thousands of computers attacking one IP address, especially when it comes to smaller businesses that simply don't have the funds to invest in such countermeasures to even defend themselves. So now you can see in the about 5 minutes, I would say we were running the attack on this IP address. We sent over, what is that? 650 million bytes of data? 650 million? That's outrageous. And what is that? That's about 12 million packets we completely sent. 12 million? Remember how in the Nmap scan we were only sending about 3,000 packets of data in the full scan. So you can just see how there's levels to the amount of packets you're sending for such DDoS attacks. And when I stop the code, we're back to, the zero point 0.52 milliseconds and around that range. It's overall running a bit slower now compared to when we first started it, just because of how overwhelmed the computer actually got. And you can see we actually have some packet loss, which that basically means we sent pings back that we completely didn't receive at all, which shows that this computer was really getting overwhelmed. That is going to wrap up our exploration of DOS and DDoS attack, a critical threat in today's connected world. I hope this video gave you a clearer understanding of how these attacks work and their potential impact on networks and services. I also hope you enjoyed our real-life demonstration of a DOS attack and showed you how powerful these attacks actually can be, especially with implications like botnets and DDoS attacks. Thank you.